Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday, the 11th of March 2022, and as always, we've got plenty to get through today. So, without any further ado, let's get on with things. We'll start, as always, with the Premier League football, and after last weekend and the midweek games, Manchester City are still 6 points clear of Liverpool. Liverpool still have their game in hand. Both had victories last weekend. Liverpool have won a tough, hard-fought 1-0 victory for West Ham at Anfield. Manchester City a more comfortable victory than Manchester Derby over Manchester United. It was a good game to watch the first half, but second half it was all City and absolutely destroyed United. So we didn't, as we were in terms of the top two. Chelsea have been pulling points back despite their on-field issues that have been going on surrounding Roman Abramovich, which aren't going to go into here. But they had two victories: 4-0 victory at Burnley last Saturday, and then a 3-1 win at Norwich last night. So they've closed the gap somewhat on those two, but it's still quite a way behind. Arsenal are up to fourth. They won 3-2 at Watford, and obviously because United lost at City, that's pivoted that round. At the end of the table, Leeds are struggling, and so Everton. Leeds last night were convincingly beaten by Villa 3-0. Everton lost 5-0 at Spurs on Monday evening as well, so they're both dropping out of trouble. The only good thing was that Norwich and Watford are still continuing to have poor results. Norwich and Watford both having two defeats. Watford losing last night 4-0 at Wolves, and Norwich, like I say, beating at home to Chelsea 3-1. And like I said, Leeds looked a bit more promising for Leeds at Leicester last Saturday when they got a 1-0 defeat. It was the closest they've come to winning a game or getting a point in weeks now, more or less. And they looked more defensively tight, but last night they were really open again after they conceded the second goal. So it must be worrying times for all the people at Sport Leeds United. Moving on, so that's where we are with the Premier League anyway. This weekend the game's on TV. We've got two tomorrow. We've got Brighton and Liverpool at 12:30. Then we've got, that's on BT Sport. We've got Manchester United Tottenham, which is at Old Trafford, and that's on Sky at 5:30. Then Sunday's two games are, I think, on Sunday. The better of two games is probably a 2:00 kickoff. Chelsea against Newcastle. Newcastle in such good form at the moment. They fought their way out. They could even get into the top half of the table the way they're going, because they're closing in on the teams that are in like 10th, 11th, 12th and 13th now. So Chelsea Newcastle could be a really good game to watch. That's 2:00 game on Sunday. The 4:30 game is Arsenal Leicester. Not to underestimate the quality of the two teams there, but Leicester's away form's not that great. Jamie Vardy's going to be out again by the seems of it for several weeks, so not ideal. They seem to struggle without him. They're doing well in Europe, and we'll come on to that again in a moment. But the league form's not been that great. And then there's Monday night football this weekend as well. It's Crystal Palace against Man City, so that could be a good game to watch. Palace are a good team to watch now under Vieira. His former side, Man City, or one of them. Should be a good game. Could be a tough match for City. They struggled there in the past, so be interested to see how that one goes. So plenty of action to look forward to on TV this coming weekend. Elsewhere, we move on to Europe now, and both Manchester City and Liverpool have progressed to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. Neither have managed to win the second leg match. Man City being held to a 0-0 draw at home by Sporting Lisbon. But City did manage to blood some of their youngsters and got some time on the pitch. So that was a good experience for those guys. Liverpool were beaten 1-0 by Inter Milan, but you've got to say that Liverpool did have several chances to win the match, and it wasn't going for them basically. And Inter took the chance well that they got. It was a good goal. So they were helped a little bit by Alexis Sanchez getting a second yellow card, seeing red. So that put Inter out at 10. So that probably stopped any momentum they had. But the big game of the week was the comeback by Real Madrid to beat PSG, having been basically 2-0 down aggregate to 2 goals from Kylian Mbappe, one each leg. Karim Benzema scored a hat-trick in the space of about, 10-15 minutes, something like that, to make it 3-1. It was amazing how PSG just unravelled massively in defence. It just were terrible. But Marquinhos and Kimpembe in particular were really, really poor. And the future of Pochettino may be in doubt at PSG now. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, we're talking going to Manchester United in the summer. Well, maybe that'll accelerate that move now that PSG are out of the Champions League, because basically that's their goal, to win the Champions League. So ultimately it all revolves around that for PSG, so it's a big blow to them. So don't forget that coming midweek we've got the second legs of Manchester United's game against Atletico Madrid and Chelsea against Lille. Chelsea in a more comfortable position after being 2-0 up from the first leg, but obviously the off-pitch issues may affect them a little bit more by then, but I'm not sure it will. It sounds like they've put packaging in place to make sure the club can continue to function as it normally would, so that's good news for all the fans and the players and the people at staff. It might make them a little bit more comfortable, but it's all very uncertain, so something that we don't need. But yeah, we'll move on from that because I don't really want to talk about any more about that. In the other competitions, West Ham lost the first leg match last night at Seville. They lost to Sevilla 1-0. They'll be fairly happy, I suppose. They only lost 1-0, but they had chances to get points, get a result out of the game. Vlasic wasted a couple of chances, and Sevilla had several players out, so they weren't the best, but they may have those players back for the second leg at the London Stadium next Thursday. Rakitic got injured in the warm-up, so whether he'll be back for that game, I'm not sure. Rangers also won their beat Red Star Belgrade 3-0 at Ibrox, and the second leg won't be easy because it was a good match. Even though they won 3-0, they did have a chance as did Red Star, so it won't be easy, but 3-0 should be enough to get them through. And in the Europe Conference League, Leicester beat Rennes 2-0 in the first leg of their match. Mark Albrighton had a good game. He scored one and set the other goal up in the last minute for Leicester, so they'll be fairly confident, but it won't be easy. Rennes are a good team at home, so let's see how they can get on. But the second leg of those games all next Thursday, I believe. Okay, now moving on to the National League, and FC Halifax Town had a victory last Saturday. Good result at Weymouth. They won 2-0 there on Saturday. And this Saturday they've got a rearranged match against Dover because it's the quarter-finals of the FA Trophy this weekend. Both teams are out. Dover had a spare weekend, so they arranged it. So hopefully Halifax can get 3 more points on the board. Town are 4th in the table at the moment, so they're consolidating the place in the playoffs really at the moment. There are some big games. There have been big games during the week, and the results went our way somewhat. Borehamwood lost to Wrexham away 4-2, and there was a 3-3 draw between Solihull Moors and Notts County, so they helped us in some respects. Stockport are going march on at the top of the table. They won again last Saturday on the televised game. And this Saturday, the televised game is Borehamwood at home to Chesterfield. So that's going to be an interesting one. Borehamwood are 5th at the moment, Chesterfield are 2nd, Wrexham are 3rd. And they're all, both Chesterfield and Wrexham are within the sights of Town. If they can win the games in hand, they'll pass both and go up at 2nd. So hopefully we can do that. It won't be easy, but we've got some tough games to come after that. But we're going well at the moment. Also, one other point to mention is the game on Easter Monday against Chesterfield has been moved to 5:20 p.m. It's going to be streamed live on BT Sports. That's something to look forward to and a date to put in your diaries if you're able to watch it on TV but can't actually get to the ground. The atmosphere should be good on that day. Easter Monday, 2 great teams. Should be a good crowd because Chesterfield will bring lots of fans with them. It's not that far away, so yeah, let's hope that's a good day and a good result for Town at the end of it all as well. So something to look forward to in just over a month's time. Right, we're going to move away from football now. I'm going to talk about the Six Nations, because Six Nations competition resumes this weekend, and the big game this weekend is tomorrow afternoon, live on ITV. England play Ireland at Twickenham. That's the game both sides need to win really to try and have any hope of catching France. France playing Wales tonight. That's at 8 p.m. That's at the Millennium Stadium, whatever it's called these days, Prince Philip Stadium in Wales, and it's 8 p.m. It's on BBC. The other game this weekend is on Saturday also, 2:15 on ITV. That's Italy against Scotland. Probably not many people who are interested in that apart from people from Italy or Scotland, because they're both struggling really, to be fair. So that's what's happening with the Six Nations. In Rugby League, in the Championship, Halifax Panthers unfortunately suffered a defeat last Sunday at Featherstone after putting up a really good fight. They were 12-4 up at one point at Post Office Road, whatever you want to call their stadium these days, Big Fella Stadium, Chris Moyle Stadium, I don't know, Millennium Stadium, whatever they call it. Anyway, they lost 22-12 in the end up after a late show by Featherstone. Halifax have only won 1 out of 4 so far, they're 3rd from bottom, but they've got a game in hand. They haven't got a game this weekend. I don't know if it's probably because it's a Challenge Cup next round. But next week, the next game is at home to Lee on Monday the 19th. It's Monday 19th. It's an evening game because it's live on Premier Sports. So that won't be easy either. They've had a tough start playing most of the best teams at the start of the season. So we need to get. It's a shame that the game against Workington was called off because that was away. Because that would have been one they probably would have won because Workington haven't started well at all. But they need to get some points on the board because they're performing okay, but they start getting the wins. So fingers crossed they can get some points on the board soon. Elsewhere in the Super League last night, Hull were beaten by 8 points to 31 by Hull FC. Leeds are struggling, they've won out of 5 matches so far. The suggestions are that maybe the coach Agar may be about to resign based on his comments. I saw from last night one of my friends who sports the Rhinos posted on Twitter that his speech sounded like he was in a situation where he may consider resigning from the team as a coach. So keep your eyes on that one. At the top of the table, St Helens and Wigan are both unbeaten, and tonight's big game is 8 o'clock, and it's St Helens against Warrington. And then the other big game this weekend is tomorrow, 5:30 in France. Catalans are at home to Wigan. So 2 big games there to look forward to. We've started well with both St Helens and Wigan. It'll be interesting to see how they come against 2 of really good teams. So obviously St Helens got home advantage. Wigan might find it a little bit tougher at Catalans, who have also won I think 3 out of 4. So they're no mugs. I think Warrington won 3 out of 4 as well actually. So the top clash these 2 games. So that's where we are with the Rugby League. In the world of cricket, I need to start first of all by paying a tribute to the sad passing of both Rodney Marsh and Shane Warne. Warne, one of my favourite cricketers of all time, probably one of the greatest cricketers of all time, maybe apart from, not so much just because of his record of 7 and 8 test wickets, but more because of his charisma, his passion for the game, his style. Basically, he loves cricket. He was popular with fans, like even English people liked him. He's an Australian. People don't like Australians, but everybody liked Warne, I think, to be fair to say. He had close friends amongst England players such as Michael Vaughan, and he contributed to so much. And obviously, as a commentator on Sky, he was an integral part of that as well. So his colleagues there will miss him as well. So yeah, it was a very sad day last Friday. And he was, like I say, it was probably one, apart from Don Bradman, it's possibly the greatest cricketer of all time. Also, sad passing off for the Australian Rodney Marsh, wicket keeper. I remember him being one of the linchpins of the Australian team when I first started following cricket in the 1970s. When I was growing up, started following cricket really. We had the team with people like Greg Chappell, just his peak, Rick McCosker, and obviously Lillian Thompson as well, Doug Walters, people like that. Well, 7 or 8, but they were all great players. So again, he'll be sadly missed. So sending all my condolences to friends and families of the Warne and Marsh families, should I say. But on the field now, England's women have not started well in their defence of the Women's World Cup. They've lost the first 2 games, narrowly, losing to Australia by 12 runs, and they lost to West Indies by 7 runs. There's got to be a possibility they're not going to make it to the next stage, which will be a real blow for them. It's not like they aren't trying, but they've made a lot of mistakes in the last game. I watched a bit of it. I think they put 6 or 7 catches down, and they struggled when they batted as well. So I think they conceded 23 runs in wides and extras as well, which is really poor. And then they batted. They were 156 for 8 against the West Indies, but Kate Cross and Sophie Eccleston managed to put 61 on to get them to the within range of the target, but still fell short when Andrew Shrubsole was out. So disappointing start. They both put it right and find a way through, basically to try and retain the title, but it's not looking good at this stage. The men's team, England's men's team, are struggling with the ball in the match in the West Indies' first test in Antigua. They got scored 311 when they batted, having chosen to bat first. Johnny Bairstow held the innings together with a great knock of 140, eventually falling to a superb catch from Jason Holder. In reply, but West Indies have managed to fight their way to 373 for 9. They look like being out for less than 311, but we just lost momentum. It's been a very slow-paced game. There's been some questions about whether the pitch is suitable for Test cricket or not, but I think they've had 157 overs to get 373. But England have dealt another blow by the loss of Mark Wood with an elbow injury. He's going to be unlikely to bowl again in the match. He's definitely out of this innings, and he must be a doubt for the next match as well, which is not good at all, because he's probably our key bowler, having obviously not taken Broder Anderson, and that's a total different, a total separate story we talk about somewhere over time. But the bowling attack doesn't look strong, and Kruma Bonner is out now, but he got 123, so. But they can't get Pamal out. He's got 26, and Kemar Roach scored something like 15 off 97 balls or something like that. It's ridiculous, or maybe more than that. So it's ridiculous how they can't get them out, and they're going to struggle to get 20 wickets. So best they can possibly hope for is going to be a draw, which is not good really. But we always seem to struggle in the West Indies. They always seem to try harder against England, and it's just not great really at the moment. So we'll see how that goes. We'll know what the result is by this time next week, and also we'll be on to the second test. So we'll see how the series pans out, or starting to pan out by then better. Moving on to darts, and last night was night 5 of the Premier League Darts in Brighton, and Michael van Gerwen made it back-to-back victories. He He's now top of the table. He beat Michael Smith 6-4 in the final. Gilwyn Price had to pull out of a hand injury, so he got Joe Cullen got a bye in the first round. He walk over there, but Michael Van Gerwen's on top now. He'll probably feel like he's on his way to regaining his title, should I say. It's Nottingham in week 6 next week, so we'll see if he can extend his lead, or whether one of the others like Wright or whether Price can come back and get the and Johnny Clayton, obviously defending champion as well, see if he can get his place back near the top of the table. Next week actually we're on about horse racing now, and it's the Cheltenham Festival, Tuesday to Friday, Tuesday 15th to Friday 18th. The Gold Cup's on Friday. I don't give tips, as you know. People know betting is an integral part of my life, but I don't give tips to people. But and the other thing about it is, obviously at this stage, none of the horses are officially declared. It's anti-post, so there may be changes. They may not run in the race have been declared for. There may be injuries. The goings important in underground conditions for the horses may mean withdrawals. But as it stands, horses to look out for. Honeysuckle on Tuesday in the Champions Hurdle, and then you've got Shishkin on Wednesday in the Champion Chase. Thursday you've got Allaho, and that's in the Ryanair Chase. We'll talk about the Gold Cup maybe next Friday, because it won't have taken place, and we can do that in next week's podcast. Another horse to watch out for is Bob Ollinger, which is taking place in a novice hurdle race on Thursday, I believe, so keep your eyes out on those. And just before we go, one other thing I want to mention is we're coming close to the start now of the Formula 1 motor racing season, and the speedway season, and the stock car season, so we may talk about those a little bit more next week as well. So that's about it for this week. I'm pleased to say we've got through that fairly straightforwardly, really, without too many hiccups, and hope you've enjoyed watching as normal. Anything you'd like to add, any comments, put them down below, and I'll be back next Friday with another podcast, and till then, take care and enjoy your weekend. Thank you, bye for now.